Hey, beautiful souls. It's Dr. Danny. How's everybody doing? I am doing really good, even after coming back from an amazing vacation and getting back into the normal humdrum of life. I wanted to bring you this update because there's a lot of energy going on this weekend. A lot. There are five things that I want to talk about, and then one quick proof I want to do. So we are going to cover the second new moon in Taurus. Then we're going to cover this new moon that is square Neptune in Pisces. Then we're going to talk about Mars squaring on Uranus. Then we're going to talk about Saturn stationing retrograde. And then I have a proof on Pluto. And then we're going to talk a little bit about Mars and Venus. And then I want to talk to you guys about some updates. Okay. So, but before I get into the astrology, I would love to share my screen with you guys. Because I really did have such an amazing trip, and I wanted to just share some pictures with you and share my amazement at this universe that we live in. Let me move my face over here a little bit. So we'll get into this in a minute. One of you guys actually commented and asked me if I saw any petroglyphs while I was there in Arizona, and I did. And this picture was taken at Glen Canyon. Now, Glen Canyon, if you're not familiar with the Colorado River, it goes through Colorado, through Utah, down through Arizona, and I think out to California. But at any rate, that big canyon where the Grand Canyon is, Glen Canyon is just a little bit north of that, actually about 3 hours. And this section of the river that we were on, we were allowed to get out, use some restrooms, and then check out these petroglyphs. And this spot right here is probably about 800 years old. And the reason my eyes were drawn to it was because this looks a lot like Saturn or Capricorn, or maybe it looks like a star asterism, like a constellation, like somebody's pointing at the stars. And this right here looks like Pisces to me, or maybe like a sun and moon or an eclipse kind of thing. So I just thought those are super interesting. And since y'all asked about it, I thought I'd share that with you. So that was Glen Canyon, but here is the Grand Canyon. This is when I first got there. I had never seen the Grand Canyon in person before until last week. And my husband was like, just go ahead and sit on the wall. You'll be fine, because here's the wall right here. And I was so nervous, but he kept taking pictures of me. And so that's why I have that face like, holy cow, like look at what's around me right now. And the peak that you see in the back there, that's Temple Isis. But I didn't know it at the time. I just thought it was actually really perfect and synchronous that I was able to catch that. Here's another great picture. This is the blue condor, and its wingspan is 10 feet. So this bird is huge, and there were 3 of them that would fly around the entire canyon village area, because it's in a U-shaped area right along the south rim. And so you have one large out jutting of rocks on one side, and they're about a mile apart, and the canyon's on the rim in the middle. And there were these 3 large blue condors that would fly around every day. It was amazing. And I tell you, like seeing this with the pictures, it just doesn't do it justice. This was a sunset picture that we took. This is not from National Geographic. This is actually what our eyeballs could see at the Grand Canyon. It was absolutely spectacular. And just to give you an idea of the scale and the size that we were dealing with when we were gazing downward, I mean, it's miles. Okay, this is what's called the Bright Angel Trail, and the trailhead starts at on the western end of the South Rim Canyon Village. And I don't think we got the top of the trail in this picture, but this is basically 2 or 3 turns before you start getting to the steeper parts. And this whole trail will go all the way to the river in about 8 miles. And just beyond the edge of this picture on the left is an area called the Indian Gardens, where there's trees and water. And it's a nice place for campers to stop. But it's about 4 miles away. So this whole trail is 4 miles. I'm going to show you where the 3-mile rest stop is, just so you guys can get an idea of what we're looking at. If I can even find it. It's way up here. Here it is. I'm sorry, that's the 1.5 miles. Okay, so this is the scale that we're dealing with when you're looking at these pictures. And this trail just switchbacks for miles, and it drops 3,000 feet. when you get to this point right here. So you've already traversed down. And what they tell everybody before you even look at that trail is make sure you can climb back up because it's easy going down. I mean, it's super easy. You just kind of follow the trail, take the turn. It's not a hard path to walk, but coming back up, it's like doing a Stairmaster for about 35, 40 minutes. We didn't even get to the 1.5-mile rest stop. But I tell you guys, what was really the most amazing thing about Arizona and the Grand Canyon area was the night sky. I took this picture with my iPhone. That's how bright the sky was. And the Big Dipper, it just, I mean, you could almost barely see the Big Dipper because all the other stars and objects in the sky paled it in comparison. I've never seen a sky that bright, and it was amazing. And then this was really special too, because if you look straight up, if you live in North America and you look straight up between 10 o'clock at night and 12 o'clock at night, and you look for the cross in the sky, which basically is from here to here, and then here's the cross. This is Cygnus. This is the constellation of Cygnus, and it's actually on the Milky Way band. So if you follow the Milky Way band and you look up, you're going to see Cygnus. And this is a really cool constellation. There's a lot of history and mythology and lore to Cygnus as well. And then everybody knows this guy, Scorpio. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. There's your galactic center, and Ophiuchus goes up this way. So all in all, just a really incredible trip. And I just wanted to share it with you guys because I love astronomy. I love history. I love astrology. I love that the peaks inside of the Grand Canyon were named after Egyptian gods and goddesses. The whole experience was really incredible. What do you say we get into some astrology, guys? The first thing I want to talk about is that second new moon in Taurus. If you guys have been following my stuff, the last new moon was at the beginning of Taurus. We had sun and moon right here. And what was happening is that we were getting this, we had Mars square Chiron, then we had Venus square Chiron, then we had Mars mystic square Pluto in the nodes, and then Venus mystic square Pluto in the nodes. And so for me, that new moon was setting intentions for healing and for letting go of blockages to creativity. And it was a very inward time for me. And I think it was for a lot of people. Then it transited into the full moon that went through Scorpio and Ophiuchus, excuse me, 2 weekends ago. And so hopefully the healing and the purification that Pluto and Chiron made us go through manifested for you during this full moon. And this next new moon is actually going to culminate into a full moon that is on the Sagittarius Gemini axis. So the sun will be in Gemini and the moon will be in Sagittarius, and we will have a full moon, and this will be on Sunday. So for me, the energies of this is about learning, communication, higher knowledge, and faith in the higher knowing, right? So now that you've been approaching this healed and purified space, what you want to do is make intentions to listen to the divine. So when you work with moon energy, new moons are for intention setting. It's kind of a pure, fresh start, and you can sort of even list the things that you want to happen or that you want to have manifest in your life. And then what we do with the full moon is we let go of things that aren't serving us. So that last full moon, we were able to let go of some of that purification, some of that healing, some of that baggage that came with all of that. And so now we make the intention to listen to the divine, right? To the cosmic wisdom that's actually available to us. Now, this may not actually come with inner wisdom. So what I think people need to do during this new moon is to take time to practice awareness in the external environment. And I'm not talking about just looking around and kind of knowing your space, but sort of taking that soft meditative gaze and just letting your awareness expand outside of yourself. And what you will notice is that you will be able to differentiate between the inner ego voices and the true inner wisdom, because synchronicities will occur for the thoughts that you're thinking that are actually coming from your true inner wisdom and not your ego. So I hope that makes sense. And that has a lot to do with Mercury, because as the sun enters Gemini, Mercury is going to be a big player. Mercury is racing away from the earth right now. And so it's a little bit harder for channels, people that can hear divine messages and to speak them or write them, to click into that. And they're not sure if they're actually hearing their own ego or if they're hearing the divine. And so what's really important is to have that awareness expand so that the synchronicities can occur for you. Okay, so that was it. The next thing I want to talk about is that this moon-sun combination squares on Neptune in Pisces. So this combination can lead to a dissolution and a withdrawal into the self, right? Which is exactly the opposite of what the intentions are that we need to set during this new moon, that awareness externally, that external sort of complete awareness. Neptune squaring on the moon and the sun, or the sun and moon squaring on Neptune, is going to make you really want to go inward. And it's okay if you do, like, it's not a big deal. But if you're trying to connect to the divine, which I think is really important during this next cycle, you will want to expand that awareness, like I was talking about. I mean, it's going to feel really, really good to go inward, but the danger here is that you fall into that ego illusion and delusion of what's really happening. So you do need to expand that awareness and check out. So check out what's happening. So do look outward with your awareness. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to really talk to anyone. So if going inward to you means being quiet, even better, because you're more able to hone that awareness and that extrasensory perception when you're not talking. But what that may mean is that you just need to listen to others speaking. You might need to read something. You might need to watch something. So listening, reading, watching, that's a great way to access those synchronicities, to check in with your own inner wisdom. And it'll let you know that you're on your right path. So then there's another square on top of that. I have to drink water because this one's a fiery square. So this is Mars and Leo squaring on Uranus in Aries. So while the sun and moon square on Neptune, this is the struggle. That's the struggle within yourself between, being inward and listening to the illusion, and then checking in with the external awareness to make sure you're accessing your true internal wisdom. So that's the square struggle there. But this one is going to feel very external, and it's going to feel like things are coming at you with this one. So you might get questions and you may not like them. You may not want to answer them. You might get confronted. Worst case, you might be asked to change something that you just didn't want to change, that really goes against that core being of who you are and what you are passionate about. But don't worry, okay? Treat anything that comes at you as that external thing that you must observe, right? So you're going to observe synchronicities, but you're also going to observe these triggers, these confrontations. And when you feel that, right here, that's the ego, right? That's that Leo Mars ego. You got to watch that. So look for synchronicities of the inner wisdom, and that should get you through this. It isn't very long and it'll peak, but let's see, where is it at right now? So it's approaching. So this may last a few days and kind of peak as the end of next week comes around. So I think the best thing to do with this kind of a square is look where your own Mars energy is, right? So depending on what house or constellation it's in, there is a way for Mars energy to be released. So, for example, you may be somebody that needs to run. They just need to get into the earth and run really hard. Somebody might need to get into water. It's usually an elemental thing. So look at your sign that your Mars is in the house and see what elemental, either earth, fire, wind, or water, which one of those four elements, or if it's in a fucus ether, which one of those elements resonate with you the most. And that's probably the best way for you to let off the steam. So And then the other thing I have to say about this is if you're someone that already has this kind of aspect in your chart, like a Uranus Mars square, you've been dealing with this kind of energy your whole life. So this energy that's coming at you right now might not be all that unfamiliar to you. You might like, okay, here we go again. Like it might be just easier for you to deal with. Or if you're someone that has a Mars and Uranus in a trine, a sextile, or a conjunction in your natal chart, this may be just a minor annoyance. But in any case, you should definitely look where your Mars is. And if you're feeling triggered by something coming at you, try to release it in an elemental way. And then watch that Moon Sun square Neptune. Okay, so then the next thing is Saturn stationing retrograde. Okay, so Saturn has been in Aquarius. You're probably going to hear people in the tropical. Oh, by the way, I do 13 sign and true sky astrology. If you guys didn't know that already, I don't really feel like I need to give y'all a disclaimer before I get started. If you're watching these videos, you obviously want the astrology that's aligned to the cosmos. So that's what I'm providing for you. Tropical astrologers are going to tell you that Saturn is in Pisces. And this is a really place for Saturn. It has to do with involuntary isolation, like imprisonment, rehab, just awful things like that. But Saturn in Aquarius, Saturn was actually the traditional ruler of Aquarius, right? So Saturn's pretty comfortable in both Capricorn and Aquarius. And he spent the last 3 years in Capricorn in his dominant house right now, or that he rules, standing up for structures. This was all during the pandemic. So, that force of government coming at you and telling you how it should be. And now we're in a time where people are waking up. The collective is saying, hey, no, wait a minute. That virus actually came from where we thought it was. You guys are censoring us. This is not how we're going to do it. And so the collective comes together and tells Saturn in this case, we're going to do it our way, which I think is actually really lovely. And so Saturn going retrograde, he's going to go back, retrace his steps. And then when he turns station direct again, we're going to be in charge of this Saturn. I hope that makes sense. So Saturn is our teacher, and he's our master in this earthly realm. So basically Saturn is going to now take the collective's information in a backwards motion through the cosmos, through the universe, and kind of tell those bigger structures, it probably won't work out this way. I can't proceed as Saturn until, the collective is happy, until this realm is satisfied. And the collective definitely has more power. Kind of went off on a tangent there, guys. Sorry. Okay. There's 2 more things I want to talk about, but I'm going to switch to the next graphic because I want to do a quick Pluto proof. On my Facebook, I have tropical astrologers that, are my friends, and I love them and I think they're brilliant. But they make these grand statements about our generational planets that are inaccurate, and divining wisdom that isn't appropriate for the time that we're actually in, for the time that's aligned to the cosmos. And this is a tropical chart. This doesn't look like what you and I usually look at, but it's essentially got the aspects correct. So in other words, we still have Uranus squaring on Mars. We still have the sun and moon squaring on Neptune. We still have Saturn station retrograde, and we still have, everything is in its relative position. But what's incorrect is the constellational energy, because this structure where there's 12 symmetrically perfect constellations is not what the sky looks like. And that's not how astrology was born. Astrology is the first science. It was the father science to all sciences, or the mother science to all sciences. It was here before we had medicine. It was here before we had physics. So, and it was based on the stars. So this ring of signs is what's inaccurate. And what they're saying is that Pluto is retrograde in Capricorn now. Oh, that means everything's going to break apart. Okay, well, Pluto isn't even near, it's near Capricorn, but it's not even going to transit into Capricorn until February 7th of 2024. It's going to go into Capricorn a little bit, and then it's going to go back out. back into Sagittarius. So why does that matter? Why does it matter when we divine information, when we tell people that Pluto's in Aquarius, when it's actually in Sagittarius? You know, what does that actually mean for us? And I've talked about this before, but right now we have a Pluto that is at the very end of Sagittarius, about to enter Capricorn next year. And I would say that the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years that Pluto has been in Sagittarius, that there's been a massive exponentially increasing awakening of the human collective spiritually. So in other words, we're like, oh, does that dogmatic religion actually work for us? Does this government actually work for us? Does this family structure work for us? Does this societal structure work for us? Do I actually believe in God? Do I believe in the universe? What do I believe in? And that's what Pluto's been doing. And I think it's because of the, the way that people are able to communicate so quickly now with phones and the internet. Information spreads like wildfire. So you can't lie. There cannot be a lie in the environment of a Pluto in Sagittarius. It's literally the deepest, darkest truths coming out. And we're all witness to it. And as a result of that, when Pluto moves into Capricorn, there's going to be a massive shift in our structures. A massive shift like tropical astrologers have never even seen before. Because the last time Pluto was here was in 1776. During the American Revolution. Okay. And the children that were born the last time Pluto was in Capricorn were the leaders of the new America. Okay. So the children that are going to be born in the next 10, 15 years, watch what happens. This is all cosmically aligned. So this is basically what I call my Pluto proof. And I wanted you guys to just kind of understand why it's important to discuss these, especially these larger planets in their true constellations. Because this is the story that's cosmically aligned to humankind, to every humanoid, every creature that is going to make contact with humans. This is the story. And this is our story told to us by the constellations in our sky and the positions of our luminaries. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. I think that's everything I've got to tell you. I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm just really excited about the next few weeks. I am actually not going to be doing any Zoom call readings until after July 5th. My time has just been severely crunched, but I am still doing recorded readings. So if you all are interested in that, please go to my website, drdani.com. Under offers, you'll find all the recorded readings that I do. If you're already an astrologer or you need help with this kind of astrology, we can do a quick consult and I can talk to you about some other things that we can do. That's available. If you're really interested in Venus, I love Venus. My Taurus is rising and Venus is my chart ruler. So the Venus transits through Leo are going to start next week. So on the 22nd, I will be dropping another video about Venus transits. There's going to be 2 parts to Leo, the part where she goes direct and the part where she goes retrograde. And it is an amazing story. So I'm super excited to share that with you guys. Okay, so I think that's everything I have for you. If you like these updates, give me a thumbs up. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. I'll try to answer them for you. And then friend me on Facebook. Check out Sidereal Revolution on Facebook. You guys want to join that so you can join us in the conversation. I post there regularly so you guys can see what I'm posting and updating over there. And I think that's it. So until the next time, namaste.